And we're live, beaming direct from Sydney, Australia. This is Mike. How is everyone? It's easy like Sunday morning over here. Hope you guys are all well. And this morning we're going to discuss and explore how to turn failure into success with ease. And this topic here is something that is a three-step process that manifests success from failure through an authentic heart. And what I'm going to run through with you today is exactly what we're actually instilling in our lives at the moment. It's part of our transition process. So what's more important here than anything is not so much that we're understanding it on an intellectual level. That's not really what this is about. Okay, it's not about understanding it and just having a little bit of a think about it. This is more about actually transitioning from a thought-based process into a heart-based process, feeling it, doing the inner hustle, the inner work with yourself every day when opportunities present themselves, to actually be a more heart-centered human being rather than an intellectually centered human being. And in doing that work, feeling the difference that it's going to make to you, to your life. People around you are going to notice that you're changing, and you're pretty much going to start to feel a lot happier and a lot more fulfilled in life. So don't misunderstand terms that I'm using like success, failure. Okay, these are just words. We're going to get into information, data, and how we give meaning to words a little bit, even though that's not the main focus of this. We are going to touch on it because it is important. And as with everything in The Awakening Point, it's based on Tom Campbell's My Big Toe. So if you have an interest in what we're doing here and have an interest in improving yourself and your own life, then I implore you to have a read of My Big Toe or watch Tom's YouTube videos, because Tom is a master at this, where I'm still a baby in nappies with it. But that doesn't mean that I can't implement it in my life, which is really the focus of what I have realized with My Big Toe, is that the information in those books and the information in Tom's YouTube videos are absolutely life-changing. But what is life-changing is when you take it from being Tom's big toe, for me personally, into being Mike's big toe. When I take that information and make it my own in my life, minute by minute, second by second, in how I'm interacting with myself emotionally and how I'm interacting with other people each and every day, because that is that's the real work. It's not about anything, like everything outside of that is a luxury. The real work is in there. So this is a three-step process that manifests success from failure through an authentic heart. Now, the concept of failure is information. We all have a certain way of thinking about failure. And in our lives, we're inside this, let's call it a simulation, and we exist within that information, and it's all data. You're surrounded by data everywhere, and that data is being interpreted by your consciousness. So it becomes information as you give it meaning. So when it comes to things like failure and success, these words that we throw around so easily to represent certain things, one of the most important things out of today's live cast that we take away with us is the way that we actually subjectively give meaning to the data that we perceive. And this is a subjective process, and it's a very important one because it's really the foundation of how to turn failure into success by understanding the nature of reality. And that's where, Tom's work is so critical because it really teaches us how to shrug off belief. Belief systems are no good for us because belief, is something that you're assuming that you don't know. So you're believing because you're not doing the work to know. You're leaving things in a confused state by gripping onto a belief without going into it more. That's why I often say with the awakening point, it's not good enough to tell yourself, oh, I believe in myself. Okay, that's rah-rah stuff. There's nothing really in that. To believe in yourself is to admit that you've got no idea what's going on inside you. So you're engaging in a leap of faith within yourself, and that's not really a cool place to be because you're going to be in a place of confused assumption all the time, and you're not going to understand which way you should be pointing or which way you should be going. So data can be organized into information as we give it meaning, and intent can modify future probability, thus reorganizing the information or the meaning from failure to success. Now, Tom goes into how exactly intent modifies future probability, breaks it right down. And for those of you that have read My Big Toe, you're going to understand exactly what we mean by that. So this is where meditation allows you, even if you're just spending 20 minutes a day, to really quiet your mind, okay, and calm your mind so you can process things a lot more clearly, and you can start to learn how to focus your intent instead of it being just scattered all over the place. Now, there's 3 simple steps in this process of turning failure into success. And again, guys, I just want you to be reminded that this is not an intellectual thing, that this is our version of it. It's more of a feeling process. There's lots of metaphors being used here, and you shouldn't be following our way. You should be going into what's important to you as you're doing this at your own being level and doing the internal hustle. You're going to start to realize and see the path forward for you. And as Tom always says, if it's not your experience, it's not your truth. So it's not good enough to just read things or watch videos and at that purely intellectual level believe that you've got it down pat or that you understand it. It's in living it. As you experience it yourself directly, it becomes your truth at that point. Let's go into the 3 simple steps that Trace and I have been using. And remember, these are metaphors. Keep your mind open to the meaning behind this. So step 1 for us that we've been using is stop everything for a moment and listen to your heart. Make the shift from being intellectually centered to being feeling centered, because feelings cannot lie. Feelings cannot manipulate the way that the mind can. Your mind can make any story, can make any movie out of anything at the spur of the moment. It's a master at doing that. It will justify, it will try to manipulate. It will try to do whatever it can to make you feel better. Emotions, feelings don't do that. They just project out what is really going on. So a lot of people get a little bit confused by this, and I want to spend a minute or 2 on it because I get a lot of questions like saying, look, yeah, feelings can be bad though, because for instance, if you're feeling jealousy, that's not a good thing, or if you're feeling anger all the time, that's not a good thing. Therefore, you shouldn't be you shouldn't be feeling centered. You should stay intellectually centered, because that way you can work it out. And look, that is a confused way of looking at it. This is not about trying to do the right thing or the wrong thing. This isn't trying to label what is positive and what is negative, because that in itself is a trap. Where I'm coming from with this is, if you're feeling anger, the feeling is telling you that you're angry. That is telling you where the work needs to be done. Don't worry about whether you're angry at the fact that you're angry, or whether you're perceiving that that's wrong. That's not as important. What's important is you're feeling angry. You are angry. That emotion is that's where the real work is. When you shift from trying to justify why you're angry, or making excuses as to why you're angry, or trying to intellectually work out why you're angry, this can be a rabbit hole that has no end. And you could be putting yourself into an infinite tailspin and just confusing yourself to the umpteenth degree. Now, what I have found personally with my big toe is that when I made the shift from putting the intellect as number one to putting the heart as number one, and shifting into feeling being the main indicator and the intellect serving the heart, I find that this works really well for me. Okay, the real work that I have found is in my emotional state. If you want to see where you're at in life, don't worry about what people tell you. Don't worry about people, how they say to you, oh, you've got your shit together, you're doing well, you're smart. Don't worry about any of that. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to your thoughts, because your thoughts can manipulate you. Your thoughts are not always your own. You're taking on beliefs and stuff from other people, all that data that's coming in, what you're seeing on the TV, what you're watching on the internet, what you're hearing on the radio. You're taking all of that on. So there's a lot of programming there that's not you, and that you may be ignorant about, and we're all ignorant to some sort of a degree. But if you're listening to your heart, that is a rock solid place. It is beaming out to you exactly what's going on. You want to know where you're at, how you're doing in life? Just have a look at your emotional state at any second. If you're angry a lot of the day, or if you're feeling things like jealousy, if you've got a lot of this stuff coming out for a significant portion of the day, that's telling you that you've got a lot of work to do. And it's telling you where the work needs to be done. It's not an opinion. It's not complicated. It's very simple, and it's rock solid. And by making the shift from being intellectually centered to emotion centered, going to the heart, putting the heart as the master and the intellect as the servant, you will immediately find clarity in your life. You'll immediately find clarity in who the fuck you are and what's going on with you. And you know what? A lot of the stuff in the first few steps is terrifying, because you realize what an arsehole you might be. And that has certainly been the case for me. But better that you find out that you're a little bit of an arsehole than you've got no idea, and that you keep going through life in a confused state. And what you're doing is just limiting yourself in this life with all of your relationships, the interactions you're having with everyone, every second of the day, all day, every day in the year, all that opportunity to have depth in your life through relationships is being limited because you're an arsehole and you don't know it, or you don't care. So that kind of behavior is so limiting. It really does limit your life. So this first step that I've put pen to paper with Trace, like what's really going on with us? Why have we decided to make this shift? Where is the richness in this experience that we're having, this new way of living? Well, when we put pen to paper, the very first thing that jumped out was exactly that. Look, just stop everything for a moment, calm your farm, get away from the TV, turn the radio off, start bringing a little bit of silence into your day. However you do it, you don't have to sit and meditate, like the label of meditation, how, you're cross-legged with you touching your fingers in the lotus position. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about bringing a little bit of silence into your life. Stop for a moment, okay? Calm your farm and listen to your heart. Switch off your mind. It's not that simple. Easier said than done. Point taken. I find that as well. But with practice, by just focusing your intent, your intention will modify future probability. If you're fair income about this and you're coming from the heart and you're like, yes, I want to put some effort into this, if you're for real about it, you will put effort into it. And however you put effort into it, however it works for you, just bring a little bit of silence into your day. And after about a week or two, you will notice something start to happen. You'll notice that you'll start to get in touch with yourself. You'll start to notice things that you didn't notice before because you're shifting. You're shifting from being intellectually centered into being emotion centered, into putting your heart as your boss and your mind as your servant. And stuff will start to boil up from inside you, and you will start to observe it. So that's the first step. And the reason why we've put this as the first step is because really all the two following steps rely on this one to allow clarity. All right, we're all in a confused state most of the time, and to have clarity when it comes to ourselves is really, really important, because everything's going to really stem from that in this process of transition. So the second step is to bring your dreams, your aspirations, the things that you really want to have in your life, the type of life that you want to be living, the type of person that you want to be, all of this stuff. Bring it from the future back into the present moment. Bring that into the present moment and be present with it in the moment. Now, step one is going to bring clarity to you, and in the shift from going from the intellect to the heart, some of your goals, dreams, and aspirations might change. And as scary as this is, believe me, it's for the better. Because what you may have started out thinking about your life and yourself, who you are, what you want to be, the things that are important to you, as you make the shift from mind to heart, that may change. And if it does change, it's what you will discover about yourself as you start to become more clear of who you really are and what's really going on with you and out in the world. So your inner hustle, the discoveries you'll make in your inner hustle will start to guide you in your outer hustle. And your outer hustle may change direction. So if you're working a job that you really, really hate, your inner hustle may expose things about yourself that may teach you and show you how to actually find meaning in that job that you hated before. Or it may expose to you that you really do need to get out of there and move into something that is more agreeable with the truth of who you are and what you want to do. So either or. Remember that these points are my points and Trace's points. These are metaphors. What's important is that if you're serious about this kind of stuff, that you apply the meaning, find your own meaning in what's going on in your own life, in your data stream. Okay? So feeling this is more important than trying to work it out intellectually. So we're bringing the dreams, the aspirations, the picture that we had of ourselves and our lives and all of that stuff. We seem to get lost in that being in the future. And we're always striving for this future life, this future dream that we've invented and that exists in the future. And each moment we're losing the moment because we're constantly trying to grasp for the ideal, the thing, the movie that we've created that's always living in the future. By bringing that back into the present moment, you allow yourself to start making it happen for real and touching on who you really want to be, who you're really becoming, where the work really needs to be done, and how that can be manifested into your present day reality. It's a process. This takes a lot of effort. It's not sexy. It's not like rah-rah. It's, not something that you want to get up and jump up and down and scream about in excitement. It can be actually quite scary, but it's real. This is the real shit. So let's move on to the third point, which is focusing your intent on milestones and not the actual dream. This is where the inner hustle starts to really manifest into the specifics of your outer hustle. So instead of just staying with the dream as a abstract thing in the future, through doing the inner hustle work, we're discovering ourselves. We're discovering what we really want. We're discovering the type of life we really want to live. And as we're discovering that, the real shit, then what we need to do is shift the focus from the future into the present moment and start breaking down how we're going to be able to do that. And the way that you do that is you forget the actual dream in the future and you start to focus on the very next milestone that's going to take you there. And this has been something that I expanded on this week's blog post and video. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to theawakeningpoint.com, click on the blog, and just have a read of the latest blog post and the video there. And it goes into a lot more depth into how to do this. Now, I'll touch on a few points here, which is, to break your dream down into around about 3 to 5 stepping stones. Really simple stuff. Simplify the hell out of it. Okay. And we'll call these 3 to 5 stepping stones milestones. Okay. And this happens quite easily and naturally when you put in the inner hustle, when your intent is fair income, when your intent is for real and you're really interested in looking within yourself and being open to what the hell you're going to find there, and then doing the work with that. Okay, if your intent is not to do that and your intent is really just to try to become rich at any cost because money is all that's important, well, you know what? This process is going to be a freaking nightmare to you. And it's not even going to make sense. You're going to be thinking to yourself, man, this is so stupid. It's so boring. And you know what? You're 100% right. This is not the place for you. This is not going to translate well for a person in that position. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but there are easier ways to achieve that than this. This is really going to stuff up a person that's in that position. So let's move on. Okay, the milestones should be simple. When you're breaking down, your dreams and aspirations into milestones, again, they need to be as absolutely simple as you can make them. they should reside in your fringe, the outer edge of your comfort zone. You need to be able to reach, feel like you're reaching to attain it, but they shouldn't be completely out of your comfort zone. These stepping stones should not reside totally outside of your comfort zone. So you need to be reaching that far that you're in totally new waters, and you're exploring virgin territory. Because if you do that, you're going to confuse yourself. You may disorientate yourself. You may lose your bearings. Okay, so if you are keeping your stepping stones, your milestones within the fringe of your comfort zone, so you're needing to reach to the outer edge of your comfort zone, then when you get to the next milestone, your comfort zone will expand. And then as you're focusing your intent on the next milestone, when you get to that point, again, you're reaching out to the fringe of your comfort zone, which pushes it out again. Okay, that way you keep your bearings. That way you're doing the work in incremental steps. Okay, remember, be patient. It's so difficult to be patient during this process. It can seem like you're getting absolutely nowhere. It can seem completely disheartening. You can feel totally overwhelmed. Okay, and you know what? They are all signs that you're doing the right thing. They are all signs that you are realizing the truth. You're seeing what's really down inside you, and you're putting the effort in to do the work and trying to, find meaning that's driven by right intent from your heart. And you're trying to live that in your life. Man, this shit ain't easy. It is really, really hard, and it can feel overwhelming. So you want your milestones to be a natural, kind of authentic, organic feeling progression when you step forward. So you always want to be stepping forward. You don't want to be standing still. Okay, but every time you take a step forward, you want it to be a logical step that makes sense, that you need to be reaching for, but not having to take a running sprint and a dive. Okay, there are times where you need to do that. You'll know when you're in one of those moments, but generally speaking, you do not want that to be happening for every single stepping stone. All right, so they should reside in your fringe, outer edge of your comfort zone, and they shouldn't be completely out of your comfort zone, and I've explained why that's important. Now, the milestones should show clear and simple logic on what you need to be focusing on to continue flowing forward and evolving. It should all make sense to you on a deep level and without too much brain power. Okay, if that's happening, then you're on the right track, because it should make sense. If you're sitting down and you're feeling like you're overthinking shit too much, okay, that's an indicator that you're shifting back from being heart-centered back to being intellectually centered. It's easy to overthink stuff, and when you do that, a lot of us will feel that we become disorientated, and you don't want to spend too much time there. Keep things simple. Listen to your emotional state. Move forward doing the work on yourself based on that level, and try to keep it like so dumbed down and simple that an 11-year-old kid would understand what you're saying. If you had to explain to a kid, look, this is what I'm going through, this is my personal growth plan, this is the work that I need to do in my life, this is where I'm struggling, this is where I'm stumbling, and you know what, I've got the next 3 stepping stones, my milestones to address that, which are this, this, and this. An 11-year-old kid should think to themselves like, oh man, that makes total sense. Wow. Yeah, okay. I can kind of relate to that. So if you simplify it to that point, you will find that the results will be far more immediate, and it won't be such a struggle. It'll be a journey, but it won't be this like life and death struggle every day that is just like, oh my God, I can't do this. So each milestone will contain within it inner hustle aspects as well as outer hustle aspects. This is something that you'll find will just happen naturally. As you take a step to the next milestone, it will require personal growth. You will uncover things, new emotions will come out. And as you do the work in that, then, you know, that is the personal growth. That is taking the step to the next milestone. So it's all a natural process that you're totally encapsulated in, that you're experiencing, you know, making it your truth. That's how you do the inner hustle work. And the outer hustle work is, you know, the stuff that translates into, you know, like getting your business off the ground, getting the startup idea, you know, to the point where it's being monetized and you start earning a living out of it. You know, that's the outer hustle part. So each milestone you'll find is going to have inner hustle as well as outer hustle aspects to it. These are all metaphors. All these steps are metaphors, and what we're communicating are the most important things to us, you know, are metaphors as well. They may not be the things that are most important to you, and as you're adopting, you know, the parts that you take from this as being the most meaningful to you, that you're resonating the most with, those are the things that you'll be taking your first step on. And that's going to be different for everybody that listens to this. And I want to reiterate, this is not an intellectual process. This information that I'm sharing with you right now it's they're metaphors. It's for you to find the meaning in it yourself and to make that experience your truth, because my truth can't be your truth. You know, what I've had to go through to get to this point so far is going to be totally different to the path that you take. So keep an open mind and an open heart to all of this, and make it your own in whatever order, however it comes out for you. We've touched on already, if it's not your experience, it's not your truth. The reality of this, the truth in this, is in you yourself doing the inner hustle, creating the space in your own life inside yourself to be able to clarify what's going on inside you, what you're going to do about that. You know, in your shift from being intellectually centered to heart centered, the struggles that you have to go through is what, you know, is going to boil up from your past, from your programming, from the things that have happened to you and why you have the beliefs that you have because of where you were born, or the cultural details of where you grew up, the way your parents, you know, brought you up, and their belief systems from where they grew up. And I mean, this is a really deep thing that we can't just touch on completely in one, you know, live cast. So this is a little bit linear just because there are time constraints here, but all of these things is what all of that data, and as we apply meaning to that and what that means to us, you know, this working through that moment to moment with an open heart is what translates into your truth through your own experience, through your struggles, through your failures and victories. Because in the end, you know, failure and success are just data. It's just data that you give meaning to. Failure is not really failure in that sense. It's just a part of success. It's a part of discovering yourself. It's a part of that exploration, you know, of going inside yourself into that limitless void. and what you're going to find there in that journey. It's pretty exciting stuff, really, when you think about it, because it's so deep. There are many lifetimes of things to discover in there. It's an amazing process, and the richness and depth of that exploration has really just opened up my whole world into something that I'm excited about every day when I wake up. I might be driving in the car and I see the trees blowing in the wind, and I see the clouds and the beautiful color of the blue sky, and for absolutely no reason at all, apparently, I get mesmerized by just that moment. And it happens more and more, and it's beautiful, and you don't need to try to find out why or what's going on there. It's just a deep experience to be in the moment, and it's rich, and this is where you will find your path. So forget all of this information now, because this is all stuff that I've put together, and it's all part of my journey, and it's something that I'm sharing with you guys, not from a point of view that I'm trying to teach you, because I'm not really in a position to teach you anything, because I'm still a baby myself at this. But what I am doing is I am sharing my blunders. I'm sharing my face plants when I trip over, and that whole process of getting back up again, of failures, of successes, of being beaten, of victory. This whole process of making the shift from the intellect to the heart, the shift from earning a living the way that I was before, to earning a living through walking a path that has become very, very important to me. The whole struggle of this, I'm showing the whole journey live on the internet for anyone to click onto and watch. And what you get out of it is for you to get out of it. You're going to find your own meaning in this, and that's what this is all about. It's nothing more or less than that. So move forward from this, forming your own information, giving meaning to what you get out of this data that I'm presenting here on your screen, because that's the reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to to kind of tell everyone that it's okay to be a weirdo. It's kind of cool. Don't worry about what anyone thinks of you. That is half the battle. If I have to put a number on it, I would say it's 50% of the battle. Don't worry about the herd's opinion of you. Don't let that hold you back. Don't try to fit in. Don't try to just be someone that is normal if you don't feel like that. If you feel like that's your place, there's nothing wrong with that. This is all about just being comfortable enough to have the courage and the heart to do your own shit. Walk your path, be you, hold your head up high, be proud. Even if you do face plant, and the people who don't have the courage to be themselves and do their own thing laugh at you, because the only people that are going to laugh at you when you face plant and make fun of you and try to make you feel like you're small and try to belittle you, the only people that are going to do that are the people that are that shit scared to be themselves, that the only pleasure that they can have in this life is by belittling other people that do have the courage to be themselves. And of course, in doing so, you are going to trip over. You are going to fall. Of course you are. It's part of the success of being yourself. And that's the heart of this topic of turning failure into success. You really do that by moving forward, forming your own meaning, giving your own meaning, and doing that, without fear. So how do you do that? I'm putting up memes every day to kind of help people feel what's going on with the awakening point. What is the real message? Okay, so the real message is that awakening is an inside job, and it all happens within you. You apply your own meaning to your own experience. That by trusting what you feel, the emotion that's there, you're dealing with the truth. The mind is going to complicate things. It's more difficult to find truth through the intellect. It's more confusing. Your emotional state is the bare, raw truth of who you are and what's going on with you. So by shifting from intellect to heart to feeling, it's more clear. The path is clearer as to where the inner hustle work is for you. So by trusting what you feel and not what you think, what you're doing is you're not dismissing the intellect. That's crazy as well. We're not saying that only go by your emotion. No, you have to have logic. You must use your intellect. It's a powerful tool, a very, very powerful tool, but it's its most powerful. And you find your true seat of power when you are heart-centered and your intellect is in service of your heart. That's where you really find your throne, and you sit into your throne and you become the king or queen of, the space that you occupy from moment to moment. And look, hustle and heart will set you apart. You do the hard work. You can't be lazy, whether it's inner hustle or outer hustle, or else you're not going to get the result. So hustle and heart will set you apart. Come from the heart, keep an open heart, love people, do your thing coming from the right place and work really hard at it. And if you do, man, nothing's going to stop you. Nothing's going to stop you if you don't give up on that. The only thing that's going to stop you is yourself. So by becoming heart-centered, you're getting yourself out of the way anyway, which is clearing the way forward. And look, think less, feel more. Judge less, accept more. Talk less, listen more. Fear less, love more. These are the things that really do open the journey forward into something that you can actually tread. It's tangible. You can find success there in that place because you're dealing with the truth inside you. You're understanding it. You're sitting in your own throne of truth. And of course, when you're in that place, you can move forward. Your dreams, your aspirations are clearer. They're coming from the heart. The intent is right. You're focused. You're excited about the right things. You're doing the work on what really needs to be done with you to evolve yourself. And the whole process just starts to roll forward. You start to get momentum and you start to be moving in the right direction, and it's all making sense. And that is how you turn failure into success. My mouse is just stuck here. Hang on a tick, guys. I have to use the... So it's about you, and it's about feeling you, not thinking you. You are going to be found in the feeling, not in the thinking. So I've got a couple of questions here that I just want to deal with. All right, so Allison from Miami has asked a question. Was there a point at which, after finding out nobody really cares, that it just saddened you before the euphoria hit in living this life? That is such a good question. Allison, dude, that is awesome. Now, okay, yes. The short answer is yes. There is a point where in your awakening process that you will feel sadness. You will feel sadness for the people that do kind of like take joy in, for instance, making a big deal and laughing at you face planting and trying to belittle you and doing all this stuff, right? Because their intent is wrong. Their intent is not, they're coming from a fear-based position instead of a love-based position. And yes, there is a lot of people out there like that. And yes, you will feel sad for them. Now, it's important that we don't fall into the trap of judging other people at this point, because if you do, you're going to kind of like delude yourself. You're going to cocoon yourself in this world where you are superior to other people because you are so awakened and you are so in touch with yourself, and they are such monkeys, they are such baboons that really have no idea. They're not awakened, they're Trump supporters. And that is really going to that's going to really hinder you. You need to not hate on people. You need to not judge people. And it's really, really difficult. It is really hard. And I got to admit, like, I struggle with it every single day. But in saying that, I make it a very, very high priority in my moment-to-moment reality, in my personal growth journey, my intent, my awareness. I really have that high up on the list, of not judging other people. Accept them for where they are in their journey. It's not up to you to judge people where they are at their journey, where you think they are, where you feel they should be, all this kind of stuff. Don't let the intellect drag you into that kind of a brawl. You don't need to go there. So your question is a really deep question, and it really touches at the heart of what we've been sharing here. So, Alison, my hat goes off to you. So again, the short answer to that is yes, there is a sadness. That the reality is that you are going to come across that. There is sadness for the people that do that to us, but you just move forward with that, and you walk your path with that, and by accepting them, you put it all into perspective. You put their truth, your truth, you put it all into perspective. And if you don't get into a judgmental situation and you're accepting, you will work through it in the easiest way possible, in the most natural way. So yes, it's part of it, and you will feel that. Don't get bogged down in it. Continue walking your path. Other things will arise where you will feel sadness as well. As long as you're coming from a place that you're being heart-centered, so your sadness is a sadness that they could be experiencing so much more love in their life rather than fear, which could be opening so many more doors for them, which would be enriching their life so much more, living a more fulfilled existence. But that's not up to you to force that upon them or to point it out to them. That only they have the power to do that. So the sadness is that you've got to let them work that out. You've got to let them be accountable and go through that struggle, because that's how everybody evolves. Nobody can force another person to grow, and nor should they. It's not about that. So thanks for that, Alison. You always engage on such depth, and I gotta say, mate, I really respect you. I love where you're at, your openness. You're so heart-centered. You're always reaching out to me. We're always going back and forwards on Messenger throughout the day, and I really appreciate that. All of your support and your genuine want to be a better person and to grow, to be part of like a community that you feel is has the right intent and humility, and I really respect all of those things. So big hugs to you, mate. Hope you have a great day over there in Miami. And we've also got a question here from Anne. And Anne has been a close friend of our family for the last year or so. And Anne says that I have had this experience of sadness and grief after waking up, sadness of all the fear-based decisions. Doesn't this lead to humility? Absolutely. I mean, you know, for a lot of us, what's been holding us back, these decisions, like the choices that we've made in our life, a lot of times we don't even understand our own fears. So we end up in this place where we're like, how the heck? You know, and as we awaken, we start to realize the truth of the choices that we made that led us to, you know, manifesting the reality that we're living in. And that process of awakening and working through that realization, you know, really does bring humility to us. That process has certainly been a big part of, you know, what brought me to my knees, what brought me back from the clouds to the dirt, and you know, that humbled me quite savagely. I went through a really, really intense experience of being humbled. I felt like my entire life was being torn apart, and yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, Anne. I know you've experienced the same sort of thing as I have. We've discussed it many, many times over the last year. And, you know, I know that you're in a challenging place at the moment. And, you know, you always work through what seems to be seemingly impossible challenges and situations with a, you know, with a bright heart, and always stepping, you know, humbly, openly, trying not to judge others that sometimes, you know, really, really test us. And I know that you've been through that a lot in the last year. And, you know, from all the family, like, we absolutely love you to death. And, you know, we appreciate all of the comments and support that we get from you in this launching process of the Awakening Point. And more importantly, just the connection that we have with you day to day. And folks, you know, I would say that that's about a wrap. We've got some more questions rolling in. Just hang on a tick. Alison, hugs to you and your family. Miami needs you. Dude, you're a legend. Plus, I think the percentage of conscious awakening. Whoa, I've got a whole stack of comments coming through now. Yes, look, it will grow. It will grow, Alison. This awakening thing that the world is going through, remember, it won't happen in a linear way. It's not going to happen in an idealistic way. Evolution happens incrementally. You know, when you've got over 7 billion individuated units of consciousness living their lives through their avatars, bumping into each other. You know, each one of them's got their own beliefs that they've formed, that they're gripping onto, that they're, you know, holding onto for dear life, that they're letting go of, that they're awakening to, you know, all these different things going on all at once. Like, it's evolution as a whole for all of us, you know, on the planet is incremental, and it is, you know, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 4 steps forward, 1 step back, 8 steps forward, 10 steps back, 20 steps forward, 35 steps back, 46 steps forward, so on and so on. This is how evolution happens. So we go through troughs, plateaus, you know, wonderful, exhilarating peaks, which are followed by valleys that we feel like we then get stuck in for a while. And reality is fractal. This virtual reality that we're in, it's a fractal reality. So what we're going through as individuals is also what the entire planet is going through. You know, the truth works like that. It's a fractal based reality, not just geometrically in the 3D space, but also process fractals, what's going on inside us in our inner hustle. You know, the planet as a whole has got its inner hustle. You know, that's the accumulation second by second of all of our billions of inner hustles, all of our billions of decisions that we make as each, you know, delta T clicks over in reality. Tick, 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 tick. Each moment that we're all in, that's the present, as it ticks over, all those 7 billion decisions that are being made based on all their pasts, you know, or everything that's going on with them. You know, all those, the fear-based decisions versus the love-based decisions, minute by minute, how that's going. It's fascinating. You know, this whole thing is just an incredible process, and being alive is just beautiful. Like, it, you know, sometimes we can forget how wonderful this process is. And even though sometimes we feel like we're, you know, going through hell, we look at the world and we're like, shit, you know, what's going on? Don't worry. It's part of evolution. It's, you know, it's how things work. And the more evolved we become, the more love-based we become, then the more it all makes sense, the less we're judging it, the more we're accepting it. And by doing that, we'll be inspiring other people to outgrow their own fears and start coming from a love-based position. And now that person's going to be a little bit more accepting of others, and they're introducing that to their whole network of people that are like, oh wow, that feels really nice, such and such isn't judging me anymore, they're being accepting, wow, that feels beautiful. So now they're being attracted to that person. What's going on here? And as they're awakening, they start to be more accepting and less judgmental and more loving in the intent that's driving their decisions day to day. And now that affects their networks, and so on and so on and so on. And this is how love spreads throughout the world. And, you know, when I talk about love, and I'm not talking lovey-dovey stuff, as well as when I'm talking about inner hustle spiritual, I'm not talking woo-woo shit. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that this is somehow like some kind of magic that is, you know, sitting down and hoping that love just automatically changes the world into a euphoric heaven or something. No, that's not it at all. And it's easy to fall into that trap. And that's not where we're coming from at all. You've got to have the heart, the courage, the spine to like really look at what's going on within you, to be open to the truth of the emotions that you're feeling with, and engage with that truth with an open heart, with the right intent. Then that takes courage, that takes guts, and that takes a huge heart. You know, it's so easy to just sit back and put shit on all of this and go, yeah, right, this is all just woo-woo stuff. Ignore your own, like, truth that's going on inside you. Don't worry about any of that. Don't do any of the work of that work. Be lazy, just be distracted and watch TV. That's really easy to do. That's so easy to do. So, yeah, this is not magic. This is hard work. This is rolling your sleeves up. This is like getting real, baby. This is like really engaging in the dirt and gardening in your own garden and seeing the thing grow into a beautiful garden, you know, that's no longer just this wild weed infested you know, thing that's difficult to walk through. It's full of thorns and stuff like that. That's a good way to look at it, and I often think of that metaphor and see myself like that. My own inner hustle every day, when I feel the anger well up, you know, I can almost feel myself just quietly and non-judgmentally getting the snippers out and pruning some thorns and just focusing on how beautiful the rose is. You know, that's what I'm metaphorically doing inside myself as I'm dealing with my own anger, you know, my own judgment of others, and all that stuff. That part of awakening is, observing that in yourself moment to moment, because you're clear, you're in the moment, and the clarity that you have introduced into your inner hustle just becomes apparent, and you can just see things about yourself that before you weren't seeing, because your intent was in a different place. What was driving your decisions, what was driving your focus has changed. So now you're seeing the truth, and you've got the courage to face the truth. And you understand that you can't just be distracted every moment of the day by, watching Fail Army on YouTube for hours on end. You've got to really come to the point where you use time management, that you put the effort into working your own shit out, because you know what, it's going to manifest some absolutely awesome shit into your life, and you're going to become awesomeness yourself. Again, this is not rah-rah stuff. If you're willing to put the work in, roll your sleeves up, treat this for real, and really have the right intent and focus, get stuck into My Big Toe. Get stuck into, every now and again watching Tom on YouTube. Soak it in, and go there. See what happens. So that's enough for me, man. What a rant. I've been going on for over an hour about this stuff. So, guys, I hope you got something out of it. Sometimes as I'm seeing the numbers on the screen going 3, 2, 1, you're live, I'm like, oh my God, I am literally showing the world what a baboon I am. I hope somebody out there is getting something really good out of this, and it's a hope that I have. It's what's driving me. For everyone out there that is struggling, that's stuck, that's disoriented, that feels within themselves like, I'm not as good as other people. I can never have a successful life because I'm just not one of those people. The awakening point is for you. You are my audience. I want to be talking to you people. I don't want to be talking. I'm not interested in, talking to the people that think that they've, got their shit all in order, and that they're that they know it all, and that their life is super, super good. That's not my target audience. That's not what the awakening point is about. So, if you're listening to anything that comes out from the awakening point, and you resonate with it, and you feel that you might be getting something out of it, even if it's only tiny, man, drop me a line, reach out, interact with me. I want to know about it. Even if it's just privately, you don't have to do it publicly. A lot of people interact with me privately. I get that. It's totally cool, and it helps me as well. In interacting with you and hearing your story, hearing your truth, it kind of, it's beautiful to see that process where, Uncle Tom left the light on right at the end of My Big Toe, and I've now taken that on and made it my big toe, and now I see other people taking it on and making it their big toe. And that message that Tom has, which can take many, many times of reading My Big Toe. For me, it took over 10 times to really get the message. Seeing that evolve through other people, and watching other people enrich their lives, get in touch with themselves, awaken, irrespective of how bumpy that is and how scary it is. Man, I love it. I'm dedicating my life to it. Forget about being, rich and wealthy and flying in private jets and having Porsches and living in mansions. Fuck all that shit. I'm not interested in that anymore. What I am interested in is I'm interested in earning a good living for me and my family, doing what I love. The awakening point is all about that. I will be monetizing this thing in due course. I'm just getting my head around it, that's a definite thing, and I'm being open and honest with you guys about that. But my intent has shifted. I just want to earn a living doing what I love. You know, I'm not really interested in being a hero anymore. I just want to make a difference. And if I am making a difference in any small way to you or anyone else, if you can let me know about it, I would love that. Not for my own ego, but to learn from your struggles to expand my own awareness and help me create content that really connects with the right people that are our target audience. You know, the people that are genuinely out there, who are disorientated, who have beautiful hearts, who are the salt of the earth, and who just need to win in their lives because they're just sick and tired of losing and they don't understand why, and they feel so trapped and overwhelmed, and they're in a financial shit fight, and they're just, you know, it's all on top of it. I want to help these people, and I want to help by working through that myself, being some sort of an example that it's okay to be a baboon and do this. It can be done. You know, it is being done, and that you can do it too. So on that note, love you guys. Hope you have an awesome Saturday night or Sunday, wherever you are in the world. Keep your head up, keep your heart strong, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.